Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here on time. We are going to start our event right now, and let me welcome you to the 7th iteration of our Strategic Insights series. We are again very grateful for being with us here today. I'm Jensen, the Digital Marketing Manager at Paperspace Asia. We welcome you once more to Insights for Impact Opportunities in the Shared Services Industry. Before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Total Ventures, Great Year Industries Corporation, TCN Interior Solution, and Design Works Philippines. Now, without further ado, I would like to hand our time over to our moderator, Edward Musiak.
Good evening. So first of all, Jensen, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Welcome here this evening. My name is, for those that don't know me, my name is Edward Musiak. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Paperspace Asia. I've spent about 40 plus years, I hate saying that, in sales and in marketing. So the amount of time I've spent at it actually has my daughter asking me, what was it like when the Japanese invaded? So please don't ask me, I don't know. Okay. So we've got the agenda here. We're scheduled for an hour. The panelists will each get 15 minutes. They've picked their topics of interest. And we'll end off with a Q&A session at the end of it. Okay, so with the Q&A session, that could take us a little bit over the 1 hour, but we think it's worthwhile. People get an opportunity to ask some questions, and we've got some great minds here, so pick their brains. So I have to talk about who we are very briefly. Okay, so let me introduce Paperspace Asia. So we design workplaces strategically. We focus on optimizing the employer or the employee user journey within the office. By involving all the stakeholders in the decision-making process, we ensure that our designs are holistic, and we address the needs of every employee to create spaces that inspire innovation, wellness, and engagement. So on screen, hopefully I'm not blocking. If I am, I'll move. I don't know if everybody can see that. On screen, you should see a snapshot of some of the exciting projects that we've worked on in Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. We've done work in other countries, but we've decided to put those ones up there. And each of the offices actually reflects a commitment to workspaces that empower people and drive results. So for the past 2 years now, we've invested in what we call a Strategic Insights series. And this has been our way of fostering shared learning, where we have industry leaders like yourselves attend. And it's an opportunity for us to deepen our knowledge and our understanding of the industries that we work in, and provide an opportunity for people to share their own knowledge about those particular industries. So tonight's a kind of special occasion because we were thinking, well, what we would do is talk about BPOs, and that's been talked to death. And I'm kind of really lucky because there's 3 out of the 4 people here I know, so we thought, well, we'll talk about shared services as something a little bit different. So despite some of the similarities, we believe that shared services stands apart in quite meaningful ways. And tonight is about exploring what makes this sector unique and what makes it promising. You can see the folks up there who are going to be talking. Joe, Tracy, Cheryl, and Jakub. I'll introduce each of them before their own talks. Now, hopefully will bring up a QR code. Please take if you want to ask a question, please take a pic of that. Send your question in. I'll get a copy of that here. We'll see how much time we've got and how much is remaining, and I get to be the lucky one who picks which question goes to which person. So let me start off. It's actually a real honor to introduce someone who I regard as a really inspirational leader. Someone who's got a really deep understanding of customer engagement, and especially customer experience principles, and fortunately someone I also regard as a friend. He has over 20 years of experience, and Joe's honed his skills with building high-performance teams, driving revenue growth, and implementing data-driven strategies. As the Vice President of CX Operations, as well as the site leader for NICE Philippines, he leads teams delivering world-class customer service to customers around the globe. Joe?
Wow, thank you for that. I'm blushing. All the compliments. No, it's great. I'm excited Ed asked me to join today and share some of our experiences and the journey for NICE today. When I talked to Ed initially, he said these events are intimate. He's looking for aha moments. So I'll kill some of the suspense. I'm not born and raised in the Philippines. I'm sure that was not apparent to you all. I'm from Los Angeles, California. Been in the Philippines for going on 4 years now. And I'm going to talk to you guys and share some of our journey at NICE. And to kick it off, I'll give you a little history about NICE. And the company really is named NICE. But I'll let you read. Like, our claim to fame is we're a cloud leader powering AI. And we serve 3 basic industries: customer service, compliance, and fraud prevention. You can see here we're 10,000-ish employees, definitely multinational, more than 150 different countries that we do business in. We play in all markets, so some of the largest brands in the world that you see, even here in Asia, use NICE products, and even some of the smallest, startups, homegrown type companies use NICE products. So that's in a nutshell who we are. Here in BGC, we have our Global Talent Center for Asia. We have about 600 employees that primarily service CX1, which is our cloud contact center technology. So you can take a look here. It was an acquisition. CX1 plays in many different countries. Believe it or not, we've been in business for 27 years in the cloud. I didn't even know there was internet 27 years ago, but that's when we started. So we have over 1 million agents on the platform. So like I said, BGC is our global talent center. So we've actually been in BGC since 2011, and we started very transactional, doing overnight tech support, doing sales operations, order input, those types of things, which I think are common in the BPO space now, right? It's rinse and repeat. And a few years back, we made a deliberate pivot. And the pivot was, let's take advantage of the talent that's here, right? Everybody's familiar with contact center technology. The culture is great. It's warm, easy to make fast friends. But how do we take that and start to pivot from a cost benefit to a value benefit? So before we jump into this is actually taken from our sales slide deck, which only tells truth. In today's world, customer experience, it's not just part of the business. It is our business, and I think it's probably each of your businesses. So that's our mantra, right? And when that's your mantra, you kind of have to walk the talk. So when we talk about our journey at NICE and our journey here in the Philippines, that's our goal. How do we live up to that? So now I'll tell you a little bit about our customers. So if you look here, we have the map, all the little red and blue and purple circles. That's where we have data centers. So those are all the different countries, regions that we service, right? States. South America, Asia, India, Europe, right? So we play in a bunch of different markets, and that's where our customers are very much condensed. And when our employees here, when they're talking to customers, they're talking to people that are business technologists, right? They're talking to people that run contact centers. They have cost pressures. They are talking to their customers all the time. So we're enabling them to do their work, right? They also live in a space where we call it a Frankenstack, right? So they have all these different technologies, CRMs, HR tools, data repositories, cloud computing solutions, AWS, Azure, those types of things, right? They have all these different tools that they're trying to bring together and use to deliver a service to their customer, right? And CX1 lives on top of that and lets me talk to their customers. So in a nutshell, they're looking for a partner. When they call and say, I can't talk to my customer, or a call was dispositioned wrong, or I can't get this, or something is not working, our teams here can't say, oh, that's not my problem, right? Our customers are looking for a partner to help kind of take them along in that journey. And that's a tough place to be, very, very high leverage, stressful situations, and we have those conversations all day long, every day. So coming out of 2021, I said it was a few years ago, we really made a decision to start building and becoming part of thought leadership for NICE, right? So we had some different areas that we were trying to put out for the vision, which is global leadership, functional ownership, all the keywords you hear as you're putting teams together. And I'm going to take you through our journey. These are, I think, the competencies and some of the things that we try to teach our leaders and our teams. And I'll share some of the insights, some of the things that we ran into, give you some of the why, and I'll leave you with surprise at the end. We'll talk about AI because that's new, right? Nobody's heard of AI before. But anyways, so this all starts with leadership. I think every good team, every good business starts with leaders. You see all the stuff on the internet. People leave companies, not leaders. And I will say it's not always about them. So when I arrived here 3 years ago, I came with all these great ideas. I had led teams in the Philippines in the past, but I led them from the US. I live here now. And I came in thinking, we have to get better at urgency. We have to get better at this. We have to do these things without the context. I'd never lived here. I'd heard about the commutes. I'd never been on a commute, right? Urgency for me in the States was how quickly can we finish something? Urgency for our teams here in the Philippines, how quickly can I start something, right? The commute is going to take what it is. The line at the store is going to take what it is, right? So let's start and we finish when we can finish. Those two things were not aligned. So the first thing I asked my team verbatim to do was, when we are talking, don't let me be a dumb American. Right? Help me understand contextual, cultural understanding. What are people here going through? Because that's the only way. If we relate, I can take you guys forward. You guys can help me go forward. So that was our understanding day one. Some of the things we worked with and we are working on with our leaders, I think we get in the habit of being the, yes, I can do that. Can you do this extra work? Yes, yes, yes. Don't be a yes man. So we said, tell people no. But then we say, no, 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 right? So now we get to a yes if or no but, right? It's an opportunity cost. If you say no to something, tell them why. Give them an option. That was big for us when you're talking to a customer, a colleague, a stakeholder. Own your business. And most of this here, right, as we're going to these yes ifs, no buts, you have to learn to be influential. Right? You have to live in your business. You have to know what the people you're talking to, what's of value to them. That's the only way to get collaboration and move things forward. So these are some of the things, and the one thing that I share with my leaders all the time is leadership is lonely, leadership can be hard. Don't expect it to get easier. Our jobs as leaders is to get better at doing things that are hard. Then we looked at business outcomes, right? So get away from number of calls I take, Get away from average handle time. Get away from quantities and counts. Look at the big picture. How am I impacting the business? And we did that, and then everybody has these ideas because they live this day to day, right? So now they have 45 things that they want to do and fix. But if you have 45 things, you're juggling 45 things. You move them all this much in a year. So we said, find yourself a brand builder. That's what I call it. Find yourself the 1 or 2 things that you can do that year to push a meaningful metric or KPI forward, right? And I'll give you an example. One of our former tech support leaders, 2022, came in and had this, 28 things he wanted to do in tech support. I said, great, I love those. What are the 2 things you're going to do? And he went right back to the basics. And we'd struggled in tech support. Our CSAT was low, case times were long, products are complex. He said, I want to get back to the basics. I want to call a customer when they think we're going to call. I want to put the content from our discussion in the case so the next guy understands. We call it case hygiene. Very, very simple. Right? I want to quality check that to make sure we're doing it and agents understand the value. The end of the year, our CSAT was up like 18 points, just doing something simple. He attached his name to that, right? That was his one thing. And I say he's the former leader of tech support now because he was promoted into customer success. So he moved on. He built his brand. And this is all storytelling, right? We get caught reading bullet points. We get caught telling a fact. We get caught oversharing. We have to teach our teams how to tell a story. How does my truth fit into our customer's business? How does it make their life better? You guys saw the map, right? We service people all over the globe. And this is not a one-size-fits-all body, right? So this is near and dear to me. We have customer journeys, we have all these things put together, but what we failed to realize is long-term relationships with their customers are built on a connection. They're built on a relationship. They're built on context, right? When we all make friends, we usually make friends with people that we have something in common with, yeah? So when we're servicing these customers and these long-lasting deals, or what we want to be long-lasting deals, our team here might be talking to someone in Australia, and they talk to them every week. Might be talking to someone in the US, maybe it's in India, right? And we need to build connections. We need them to give us some slack when things are rough. We need them to believe us when we tell them that we have this new latest and greatest widget. And to do that, we got to create connections. We got to be able to have empathetic conversations, which come from knowing what somebody else is feeling, right? So we went to this regional awareness idea, and we've collected some different trainings. We do some things practically on the job. And what that does is it teaches or shares information about the cultures, holidays, national pastimes, stereotypes in doing business, right? Americans tend to use a lot of words to dress things up so that they're not so direct. It's not the same in Australia, right? Americans have a terrible work-life balance. They expect everybody to be working when they're working, no matter what time it is there, right? So how do we start to teach them that, our agents, so that they understand a little bit more about the region they're supporting, right? And that helps them build those connections and do it proactively. And as you start to do that, it gives you the opportunity to make that a two-way street. Now they want to learn from you. Now you have a solid relationship to manage the ups and downs of any technology company. And lastly, before I get into AI, continuous improvement. This is everywhere. I can tell you for us, right, I'm a big why guy, infinite mindset, 1% better, Simon Sinek. For me, we look at continuous improvement a little bit different. So when I'm sharing to my team and we're coaching out to their teams, I say infinite mindset because we get trapped in the cycle of trying to achieve a goal, trying to achieve CSAT, trying to hit a quota. But what happens when you hit that quota? You get a new one, right? You get CSAT, you got to do better the next one. So we try to teach our teams, don't fall in love or push for that CSAT number. Don't go find more surveys. Rather, start to build habits, start to build skills where your metrics become a byproduct of what you do day in, day out, and get better at the things that you can control. And when you start to think about that, you're not worried about December 30th that I hit my quota, you're worried about what's the next skill? How can I get a little bit better? And lastly, I'll leave you with AI. I didn't think we could leave a technology discussion without talking about AI. But I'm not going to talk about the tool. We all have tools. It's in our face. It's on our phones. I'm going to talk about how this is an opportunity for our workforce. And this is what we share with our teams, right? AI is great at doing repetitive tasks. It's great at giving you information immediately. It's great at solving complex problems. It's great at, pulling data in from tons of different sources. Does all that very well. But what it doesn't do is, it doesn't read the room, right? It doesn't innovate, right? It might predict, but it doesn't innovate. It doesn't allow you to give context to a story with a customer that you've been dealing with and you've made a great connection with. AI doesn't know what the business outcomes are that your customer is trying to achieve, right? So for us with our employees, we're doubling down on EQ, right? How can you read the room? How do you know what they're expecting? Goes back to the regional awareness. Our employees now have to be experts in our product, but they also have to be agile navigators because they're on the phone and AI is pinging them, say this, say this, say this. They have to be able to understand, is this something that I want to tell the customer? How do I tell them so it makes sense to them? My story, right? How do I make sure this is the right or the latest version of the information? Did the AI get updated, right? And then they have to edit and produce and become that movie director so that they can tell the right story that's aligned with our business and pushes CX1 and NICE further. And I will leave you with that because I'm sure I'm a bit over time. Thank you all.
Good job. So, actually I have to tell a little bit of a story first about this second guy. So I actually did some work with him in a previous life. And we decided, well, we'll go out for a beer. And he'd only lived here for a short period of time. I'd been here 8 years. And I said, where should we go for a beer? And he knew straight away that there was this little tiny hole-in-the-wall place where you get a beer just around the corner. And I thought, we'll become good friends that way. Well done. So, Jakub, I have to apologize, first of all. I took your long list of academic credentials off this because I would have been here for 10 minutes. So it's my pleasure. I want to introduce the Managing Director of DSV ISSC Manila, Jakub Kleban. Let me talk a little bit about you. Just so they don't think that you introduce people to beer houses, okay? They've got to know a little bit. Over the years, Jakub has taken on significant roles within BPOs, contact centers, and in-house customer service departments. Since joining DSV's shared service center in Poland in 2017, he's been instrumental in managing teams that support critical business operations. Now, as managing director here in the Philippines, he leverages his global experience to drive growth, provide leadership, and inspire innovation. Let's welcome Jakub Kleban.
Thank you, Ed. I don't know what you're talking about with this beer story. Don't forget about it. So, again, my name is Jakub Kleban. I'm with DSV ISSC, which stands for International Shared Services Center. And probably you know why we prefer this name rather than this name. I will take you through the digitalization journey that we are on in DSV Shared Services. That's my agenda, so I will tell you a little bit about DSV first. Then I will take you through how we define digitalization, transformation, and so on. Then I will tell you what is it that we're looking for when we're thinking about good candidates for process digitalization, and how do we make sure that, let's say, this digitalization journey makes sense and is successful, or at least not a complete failure. And then I will show you some benefits that we already see from implementing tech. DSV at a glance. We are not a household name, so I think I owe you a little bit of an explanation. We are a logistics company, so we provide freight forwarding services via air, sea, road. We have some contract logistics, so warehousing solutions and so on. I have 74,000 colleagues in the company, spread across 80 countries. I don't know all of them. What's also important, we're listed on Nasdaq Copenhagen. We care about the environment, so we have our ESG ratings as well. And what's, I think, also to give you some context, we are now in the process of acquiring another logistics company which will double our size. So that's just for you to have an idea where we are in the corporate landscape, so to speak. Going into the subject, yes. So as probably many of your companies that you're representing, you have this tech landscape trend radar, it's called, in our company. So we have some tech that we're already adopting, some that we are testing. Then we're also tracking some fancy things, metaverse, fully autonomous trucks, quantum computing, but I will not speak about this. I will keep it a little bit more down to earth. And I would like to tell you a little bit what's our perspective here from the shared service perspective, not from the global DSV group strategy. Yes. So this is how we define this. Yes. So we have three things. First step, let's say, in this digital journey for us is digitization. So that's simply taking analog data and transforming it into digital formats. Yes. So the simplest example is probably an invoice that is no longer paper invoice. It's a PDF or ideally an XML that is done according to our requirements. Then the second step is digitalization, and this is using this data that we have in step one to optimize our processes. Yes? So to be faster, to have higher quality, and we measure it by, let's say, what's the percentage of the volume that gets handled automatically without human touch, so to speak. Then we have digital transformation, and this is, of course, by far the most complex one, the one that also brings the highest benefits. This, of course, needs more collaboration. This is not something that we can drive ourselves from our small shared service that we run. We need to engage group functions, other departments, other companies to drive this. Yeah. What is it that we're looking for when we're speaking about digitization or digitalization? Yes, of course, probably many of you are in a shared service business, so you can probably relate to this somehow. Yes, the number one thing that we're looking in a process is scale. Yes, we are looking at processes that are high in volume, highly repetitive, and so on. As some examples, a no-brainer for any shared service, finance processes, so invoice verification, master data, payments, and so on, right? You know what I'm talking about. Then, as you can imagine, as we are being a logistics company, we also have quite a few customs processes or customer reports that we can generate. Or claims that we have, because sometimes we do damage cargo, unfortunately. Of course, scale is not the only one. We look for other things, so processes that are prone to errors or have high labor intensity. You have the full list here. I'm not going to go through this. And then let's say we have a good candidate for process optimization. Then we started thinking, okay, but how do we make sure, or how do we succeed in transforming this process? How do we make sure that our efforts, let's say, are consistent and that everyone's engaged in it? Yes. So we as we see it in the shared service, we see three major success factors for this to work. First one is this one. So we try to measure as much as possible and set targets for ourselves, set ambitious goals. And as the quote, the famous quote goes, what gets measured gets done. Yes, and I think this is very true. And on the left-hand side, this is our global DSV mission, vision, enablers, and whatnot. Of course, we want to support this global targets and global goals. That's why we define our own local goals. Yes, well, as you can see, we have 4 of them. But for the purpose of this discussion, I will focus just on this one, operational excellence. So this is what we measure on a daily basis. Yes, and we review those goals, we review those targets, we set them for ourselves. So we measure process automation, so how many hours were we able to save with any given implemented innovation. Then we look at our standardization, so we break down our processes to input, core, and output. So we look at what kind of data comes in, then what happens within the process, and then how standardized is the output. I will get to this in a bit. And then optimization, we're trying to also instill this innovation culture. I will get to this in a bit as well. So first key success factor, measuring and setting goals for ourselves. Then the second one is process standardization. It's something that I'm sure many of you can relate also. It's very difficult to digitalize a process that is non-standard, right? That's why we feel very strongly about this, and we are quite following our framework quite religiously. So we have mapped all our processes down to activity level, and we actually review more than 130,000 activities on a daily basis, reporting this and reviewing this with management on a monthly basis. This is what you see down there. It's an Excel file that shows one of these mapped activities. Yes, it's terrible, I can tell you. It's very painful to do this, but thanks to that, we are able to pinpoint the non-standard things that prevent us from automation. Thanks to this, we know that there's an additional activity requested by Italy in our claims process that then we can kind of pinpoint and we can check whether this is something that we can tackle somehow, whether we can talk to our colleagues in Italy and explain them that maybe it's not that important, this activity, and then maybe we can put them in the standard flow, or maybe it's a legal requirement that we cannot do anything about it, right? But anyway, thanks to this horrible thing, we are able to take informed decisions about whether this we can automate or we can't automate, right? So measuring, process standardization, and the third one, I think equally important, or maybe most important, is creating this innovation culture in the company. Again, we have a framework, again, we measure stuff, but the most important part of creating this innovation culture is it's a bit what you are talking about, to foster this mindset and ask why. Why are we doing things that way? Why are we, does it make sense? Should we change something, right? This is very important. That's why, again, we set goals for ourselves and we ask all our employees to file at least several ideas every year. And it cannot be any idea. It has to be idea good enough to go through this entire flow, right? So it has to be prioritized, then, so it has to be good enough to be prioritized. Then we analyze it, apply which tools we want to use for this. Then, of course, it gets developed, tested, and then it contributes to this, our automation KPI. But anyway, this is, I think, fostering this culture of innovation, that we get ideas from our employees. So having a, rather than a top-down approach, having a bottom-up approach, I think it's very important, and I think we are doing quite a good job on this. For the benefits, yes, I told you that I will show you two specific examples. This is one of the processes that we have, a finance process flow. That's a standard thing, yes, master data, verification, accounts payable, and so on and so on, yes. What's important here on this picture is that if we take the manual path and compare it to the digital path. So if we didn't apply any digitalization to any of those processes, it will take 12 times more time to complete the entire flow. And of course, again, I will reiterate this measuring thing that we're doing. So we measure how digitalized is each of the process steps. We put a target for ourselves. So where we want to be, how digitalized we want to be on every step within the next year. And we also look at some benchmarks, of course. Second thing, that's my favorite one, I think, one of the things that really gives us tools or weapons to discuss with our stakeholders. Thanks to having digital data and thanks to having automated processes, thanks to this digital journey that we're on, we're able to provide our stakeholders with live performance visibility, yes? We are able to give them access to a platform where they can go in, check, are we within the SLA? Are we past the SLA? What is the volume? Is anyone even working here in Manila, yes? So it's quite important, I think. One benefit of this is that we reduce a lot of back and forth, you know, ad hoc reports. Can you send me this? Can you send me that? You know, they just go in and they see everything. That's one of the beautiful things. The second one, the more important one, I think that it inspires confidence in what we're doing here. If you're sitting in Germany, you might have a lot of different projections about whether your process is being taken care of well on the other side of the world in Manila, right? If we provide them this information, they can easily check whether we are doing a good job or not. And probably, as you can also, many of you are from shared services, more confidence from stakeholders equals more volumes, more work, and so on. This allows you to grow your company, grow your employees, and so on. Right? So, yeah, three success factors: measuring, setting goals, process standardization, and innovation culture. I'm really curious to hear what's your approach on these things. Thank you very much.
In your experience, are these factors universal, or do they differ depending on the region, for instance, between the Philippines and Europe?
I think they're pretty universal, but there's a Filipino twist to it, I think. I think standardization and measuring things, that's pretty universal, right? It doesn't matter if you're in Poland or US or Philippines. I think it's still relevant. If you don't measure it, you don't manage it, yes? Same with process standardization, but creating this innovation culture that I was speaking about, I think it has to take a little bit more effort here than it is back in my country, where I come from. People here, let's say, there are many things different than in Europe. Yes, Europe people are very much, let's say, direct. They're not afraid to speak up, talk in the meetings, and so on. Right? When I first came here, and I had my first meetings, even with my management team, I was devastated for some time. Yes, I was like, oh my God, they think I'm the smartest guy in the room. I have all the answers. No, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, right? I like my team to challenge me. I like my team to give ideas and so on. And the more layers, let's say, of the organization you have to overcome, the harder it gets, right? So I think, that's the main difference. I think in the Philippines you have to take more effort to create this safe space for people to share and to get them to talk, to stick their head out and take this risk that you can speak to Jakub and he will not eat you. That's I think the main difference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I sit now?
You can sit now.
Thank you.
We've got to make it interesting. Joe, can I ask you a question now? So, what are the unique challenges your organization faced when recruiting and managing local talent in emerging markets?
That's a great question. And I think it's the fit for NICE, right? It's more than technical skills, and I'm sure that's the same for every company. Every company has a personality. I shared a bit about our customers, right? It's high stress. Many of the conversations that our employees have with customers are things that are outside of their control, right? They can't control if the internet's down. They can't control that the invoice went out incorrectly. They may not have the exact technical answer for why one single service in a data center in Dallas, Texas, in the United States didn't happen to work that day, right? So our teams are constantly sharing what they know and then having to chase an answer later and get it back to the customer in the time that the customer feels like it's okay. So for us, when we hire talent, we see some amazing resumes, but it's got to be the fit, and it's hard to tell that in 3 hours worth of interviews if we get that much. So a lot of times I tell my team, don't sell the dream when you're interviewing. Don't sell the dream. Find out how they handle adversity. Find out what they do or how innovative they are, right? Because you got to make things up on the fly. And sometimes the truth hurts, right? And back to storytelling. How do I tell my story to a customer when it's not what they want to hear? So it's really, we call it fit and grit at NICE. There's a lot of direct conversations with customers, and we do that every day. So they have to be comfortable with that. They have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Thank you very much. So it's nice to introduce another friend. So it's my pleasure to introduce Cheryl Sobrano. Cheryl's an accomplished leader in shared services and audit. She has a bachelor's degree in accountancy from the Philippine School of Business Administration. She joined Bayer in 2013 and has held key roles, including transition manager, team lead, operations manager, before advancing to her current position as managing director. I wrote a little note here saying that as a side note, Cheryl was the very first person I met after arriving in the Philippines who taught me about shared services. I had no idea what shared services were. So today she'll share her experience and her expertise on balancing centralized strategy as well as regional flexibility in global delivery, focusing on operational excellence, user experience, local considerations, and cross-geographical collaboration. Please let's welcome Cheryl Zambrano.
Test. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words, Ed. So you saw, good evening, everyone. You saw the picture, right? That was actually taken in 2012 when I joined Bayer. So that was a 12-year-old picture. Yeah, I need to talk to Ed about that. I requested that picture to be changed. I know. I think it's the orientation. They chose an orientation that's facing there, so they did not accept probably my photo. But yeah, I'm 12 years already in Bayer. I'm a CPA by profession. I started in Ernst & Young as an auditor, and then another American company, and Bayer is my third company so far. And yeah, happy to be there. So I will not be talking much about the profile of the company, but I hope at least you know that Bayer is the one manufacturing your favorite vitamin, Berocca. You know Berocca? Yes, thank you very much. Did you know that we have Berocca Kids as well? So for your kids, please check that out. Thank you for using this opportunity as well to market our product. Anyway, so I am doing 2 hats right now. So I am Global Operations Manager of Source to Pay Process Invoice in Bayer, and therefore I am managing teams in India, in Costa Rica, and Philippines. My second hat is the Managing Director role. I will be talking more from Global Operations Manager hat, some flavors of being a Managing Director, especially on the local nuances. And that's how I met Ed, by the way, when we did an engagement with them, yes. So I was asked to talk about how do you manage global operations, and with the differences, etc., how rigid and how structured can it be? And in my experience so far, yeah, we have gone through many transformations. So I could fully relate with what they shared. When we started with transactional activities, you probably are familiar with back office, front office, and that aquarium that you probably keep also in the office for sensitive calls, etc. So we also went from that. When was it? I think it was in 2021 or 22 maybe, that we transitioned. We did a massive transformation. And we did end-to-end transformation of source to pay, coming from accounts payable, etc. And that was already the time that we already had procurement activities also. Yes, and so the key message, when we established the global operations of source to pay, and again, my area is invoice processing, it was a conscious decision that we were to concentrate in 2 major hubs. So that's India and Manila. We had Costa Rica as well as a conscious decision to handle critical and urgent activities. So we have three major hubs. Because of local regulations, etc., we have hybrid or our end-to-end small hubs. So we have China for China and Brazil for Brazil. So apart from those, everything is in the global operations, which is what I am managing right now. And where it is somehow not flexible is in terms of the global strategy. So that is where it is important that all of us are aligned in that. Not to say then that, of course I think gone are the years that we say, this is what you do from step A to step Z, you cannot change anything. Even if a critical vendor calls, this is what you do. It's like a Bible truth. So we have changed that. How we deliver is where we have flexibility. And I'll tell you more about that. Yeah. So, first of all, also, it's important. I am very happy because right now, Bayer is going through a massive transformation also. And I don't know if you have heard about DSO or dynamic shared ownership. It is a change in how we do things, actually massive change in how we do things, and in time of the transformation also of the processes. So right now, I know most of us probably are from shared services. And sometimes for our employees, especially for the young ones, it's so difficult to connect to what they do. It's so difficult to connect to the overall mission of the company. For fresh graduates, they would see an invoice being processed. That's what they do. In Bayer right now and in the shared services, we tell our people and I love of course citing invoices because that's my area. Every invoice you process is helping a life, is helping a farmer or a customer, because our mission is health for all, hunger for none. So we have changed as well the approach on creating more visions, more missions, etc. So right now, I talk to my leaders, I talk to my organization in such a way. We do not have a new or another mission. It's just to enable the business, to power the business, so that we achieve health for all and hunger for none. So that it's easy for them and they know how important it is, that it is not just a document that they see on screen. Where we are flexible again is on how we practice flexibility. So in terms of our relationships, this one is like our North Star, our Bible truth, if you may say. In terms of our relationship and our outcome for our procurement areas, the suppliers, the requisitioners, and the company in terms of paying them on time, right? Bank account, etc., which is of course important in the master data area also. And in terms of our procurement areas, that they do not need to bother so much in thinking about when is the invoice going to be paid. Otherwise, the supplier is going to cut the services or the ingredients that we need for a life-saving drug. Yes, so this one is our holy ground. Where we do flexibility is on the following, on my left side. In terms of location strategy, as I mentioned, we decided to have 3 locations, 2 major hubs as our core operations, and then we have Costa Rica for our urgent ones, so that our service centers can also sleep. Yes, so we have them, as they said, US people have very terrible work-life balance. They want us to be awake 24/7. So that's the Costa Rica branch. The Costa Rica branch is there. In terms of operational effectiveness, this is also what they shared. So what we do in the global operations, we foster the innovation culture from top down and bottom up, so that we are able to address and to capture the big and small ideas alike. Of course, it goes through a process, but that is where we have flexibility. We let people, especially the people very close to the process, come up with ideas. And I will share with you an example later. In terms of collaboration strategies, how do we meet? How do we do our strategic meetings, etc.? So those are flexible. And in terms of ways of working, you will see that also in a bit. I have to manage my time. So, as I mentioned, in terms of location strategy, time zone is not the only factor anymore, right? Pandemic has also proven that. It's not the physical accessibility is also not a main decision factor. So for us, it is the access to talents. How much talents are there? And how easy is it to recruit talents? What's the competition in the market? And in terms of the stability and maturity of the center, that will also include the local regulations. How easy is it to set up a service center? Or are there political disturbances that we need to consider that might impact our business continuity, etc.? So you have seen there, the distribution of India and Manila. will just show it all so that it's quick. So in terms of operational effectiveness, also leveraging on the DSO transformation, we are doing a lot of short cycle improvements. We work on short cycles, and normally it is a 90-day cycle, 3 cycles of 30 days. I know it's probably new for others because it's probably more evident in the businesses rather than shared services or BPOs. But we are trying to adapt that as well so that things move faster and we iterate faster. Yes. And so this is somehow how we do things. And I'm sure you know how it works, right? You look at low-hanging fruits, etc., iterate, and then, of course, we check for scalability. An example that I can give as well is how I met Ed. So we did a mindset transformation. And I'm not sure if my co-panelists also did that, and probably how you also engaged. I'm not sure. But I could resonate with the words a while ago. So we did a mindset transformation because of the cultural differences, etc., and setting up a global operations. It was important to bring everybody to a common mindset. And because of that, the recommendation also was for a face-to-face. You have to talk with Ed about it, but it's really a life-changing transformation journey. With that, it wasn't possible for us to do it big bang, among Manila, India, and Costa Rica. For one, it's very costly to fly them both to Costa Rica and to India. So we used Manila as an incubation and as a trial ground. And somehow that is also what we do with the others and the example that I am going to share with you. We benchmark with the industry as well. And from the benchmark, it showed that for the invoice increase, I'm not sure with the organizations that you are working for, the invoice increase that we were receiving in the last year, I think we were 300% more than the mid player, or even 400% more than compared with the top players. So we said there's something wrong with that. Because we cannot also ignore them, we cannot also just not answer them. And therefore, the teams came forward with that idea. We need to reduce this because it's really non-value adding. You know, a vendor will inquire the first time, he doesn't get the answer in 2 hours, he sends one again and then again and again. So they had to work on that, and the results were this. We have actually used this as an entry to in SSON. We did not win the award. We were happy we were shortlisted. And we are proud of this because it is a testament, it is an evidence of how we foster innovation and how we empower the teams. That they have the power to put forward ideas and they will be supported. Because I think that's also one of the pitfalls, yeah? We tell our people, innovate, we foster innovation, but then when they raise their hand and ask for support, they are not enabled. So I think that's one of the lessons learned and experiences that we had. In terms of collaboration strategies, not new. It is something that probably you are all doing. Maybe later on, I'll be very interested to hear also your learnings and your challenges, because I know this is a little bit of a controversial topic still, right? So it's not super exclusive in terms of the list here. This is how we collaborate. We of course leverage on technology, etc. Again, it's not something new, but it's something that we need to establish as well, so that people know how to connect. There are challenges, of course, when you deal with different cultures and different behaviors as well. As Joe, I think, was the one who, Jacob mentioned the shyness of Filipino people to speak up, right? And then if they are with others who are more assertive, for example, Indians and Filipinos, how do you think do the meetings go? I'll leave it there. I mean, it's the differences, yeah? We have our own strengths and weaknesses. So some challenges that we experience still, even with the years of operations, language barrier, culture, and then the schedule. Everybody is just busy. So one of our intentional efforts as well is to really think what meetings do we really need to meet? Because others, it's just really having 20 people, and then there's just gonna be 2 people who are needed in that meeting. It's not perfect yet. We are also learning, and I'm happy to have these occasions so that we can also learn from each other. So this one is like a global, on the average, this is how we show up, or when we show up. Average of 2 to 3 times a week. Is it ideal? I don't know the answer, but personally, I see the value of having face-to-face. Is it a challenge? Yes. It is still a challenge bringing people back to the offices. And we talked about it. I think for us, it's helpful that we invested in a nice office, at least here in Manila. And for the others, they did refresh also of the sites. But it is still a challenge because we have a lot of colleagues who never experienced face-to-face. So they feel like work from home is like the standard. Yeah, so I think in summary, it's that. In terms of having a solid anchor, for us, it's important that the organization is able to connect to the mission. And for us, it is health for all and hunger for none. So the question is always there. What are you trying to achieve? Is it helping our patients, our customers, or our farmers? If not, forget about it. You have other valuable things to look at so that we can help one of the world's biggest problems. And then we leave them with a lot of flexibility so that they also they feel empowered, they know they are trusted, and they know that they have that space, that they will not just be waiting for a global direction on what to do. I think that's pretty much it on how we try to balance things out. I hope it was helpful, and happy to take questions.
Thank you for that.
Sorry for the...
So I have people pinging me here about time and about time. You're going to get a minute to answer this.
30 seconds. Okay.
30 seconds? Even better. No. What are best practices that you've observed in creating flexibility for local teams while staying true to a global service delivery model?
There will be many, but I will keep it at probably at 3. One is the right frame, because with all the flexibility, people will have to be clear how big the frame is so that they can play around that and they know their limitations. That said, it is important to have the right leaders because you will not be there all the time. So it's important that you have that relationship with the leaders and that you trust them and they trust you. I think the other one will be on like the empowerment of the people, those doing the work. It is important that they really are empowered, that they are not empowered until you say they're not, right? And with that, the risk also come with that they see that it is okay to commit mistakes. Because we are dealing with, in my case, it's India and Manila. And again, we have talked about the culture, right? And then the other one is enabling teams. So we have like this COE or excellence teams that you also know about. It's important that they have that because it's the mechanism, it's the oil that will allow talent flow, idea flow, etc. Yeah.
Cheryl, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to know her as a friend, but I'm a big LinkedIn user, so I certainly knew of you and read a lot about you. Okay, so Tracy Ignacio is the Chief Operating Officer for KMC Solutions. She brings over 20 years of experience in finance and operations. She's a CPA and a graduate of De La Salle University. Began her career with global firms like PricewaterhouseCoopers and BDO before moving on to leadership roles, including a finance management role at Finality in the Philippines. at KMC. Tracy quickly rose through the ranks to COO. She oversees the operations for over 21,000 seats. Wow. And 6,000 employees, driving innovation in flexible workspaces. So let's welcome Tracy.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm the only one who's not your friend here, unfortunately. No. And unfortunately, I am the person standing between you and that wonderful spread. Believe me, I will try to make it quick, and I will not feel bad if you want to stand up, get some drinks, and please do so. Please do so. We'll keep it very, very simple and quick for this one. So, I mean, as Ed mentioned, 21,000 seats, so you would hope that at this point we know what we're doing in terms of building offices. So I will be talking about the cultural dynamics in office design, how we design offices for, obviously, our beloved Filipino talent, not just in the shared spaces industry, but generally, here in the Philippines. Again, please feel free to stand up and get what you want to do. So in the next slide, before I click it, I want to see a raise of hand who wants to answer a very quick game, and a prize is prepared for you, a wonderful Christmas gift. Okay, so it's called 4 pictures and 1 word. 4 pictures and 1 word, and the only clue is that it relates to my topic. Basically, this is front and center of what we do whenever we design an office. Can you help me, Ed? Who will raise their hand first? What is the word? I'm sorry. Oh. That very good-looking KMC Saville CEO raised his hand. Yes, sir? No, just kidding. Yes, sir. What is the word?
Community.
Oh, you're right. I really don't want to give you the gift, but unfortunately, you raise your hand first. No, Yanni can give it to you later. So more KMC branded merch for you. but yes, you're right. Community. So in the Philippines, you know very well, this is a very, community-centric country. The word bayanihan for our non-Filipino friends is used so much. It's about, like helping each other out. So whenever we build an office, we give importance to spaces like this, so where we can socialize, collaborate, and all. The sense of belongingness is very important to us because we know that the environment of an office can really, foster and nurture productivity, well-being, and all those. That's why we put a lot of creativity to it to build such offices, as you can see in the next slide. Our vision mission as a company is really making work plus life better. But today I'm talking about making work plus life balance in terms of how we design offices. You won't notice it so much, but the first office and the first picture and the second picture is in one place. How we transform and adapt and make spaces flexible. For this one, our pro-working space, thank you, Sir Lino, where is it? Our partners from TVI who built this space, Sir Lino, as you can imagine, you remember this space that you built for us in SM North EDSA? So the pro-working space here is transformed into a big event space. Creativity, the sense of community there is very evident. All our training rooms in the office does not only nurture the mind, but also the body. We transform them into yoga spaces, Zumba rooms. As you can see, this opens up into a big mirror. And the sound system there is very, good. And lastly, pantries. Pantries for us are not just a place for food. And you know how Filipinos love food. It's also a space for learning. It's all very flexible and adaptable. Because, we acknowledge that we need to be able to inspire people to not just work from home. And it is something that we know is very important to the Filipino as a community and as a part of a, of a very sociable culture. So in KMC, I mean, during the pandemic, it was a very scary time for us. Imagine sitting on 20,000 seats and no one sitting on them. But so that's why we pivoted as well as a company. So we are not just offering office spaces at the moment. We're also somehow a shared service. So with 6,000 employees working for all our clients, we've grown our recruitment team. So our receptionists during the pandemic at that time became recruiters. So we never let go of a single headcount at that time and held on to them by being very adaptive and flexible in terms of what we do. And it's very, very, that's how we are as a company, and the culture there is really that way, flexible. So, I mean, as we know, during the pandemic, the work from home, it was the advent of work from home. That's why we challenged ourselves, how can we inspire people to work back in the office? We've introduced the idea of work near home. At this point, we are in 25 different locations across 9 different cities in the Philippines. So there will always be a KMC near you. So there's an option for you to work near home and not necessarily just from home, and not 100% back in the office, obviously. That's why we have this KMC Passport product we're in. It's like just one passport, you can go into different 25 beautiful offices as far as Cebu City, actually. And lastly, I mean, just a few days ago, we just launched KMC Casa. So we're not just a co-working provider, we're a co-living provider, but specific and only for our members. So this is a 155-bed facility, which is located near our offices. So we know the idea of going back and forth from your house to your office takes hours and hours. And you know, with typhoons left and right, it's really a place of refuge for our employees and our members. So that's not a render, that's the real picture. It really looks like that. And it's an average of 5,000 pesos per bed per person per month. So it's actually a benefit more than anything. I mean, it's not something we're earning from, but in order to encourage the best talent and the best people to be working for us, we've thought of different ways to do that. And that's near BGC, by the way. Quickly, these are some of the brands that worked with us and during the pandemic and then until today. When we talk about Filipino culture and designing for Filipino culture, it doesn't stop there for us. We need to be able to also inspire and encourage global leaders to choose us. That's why we don't just stop in designing through, using culture front and center, but also the functionality, the security, the high technology factors are all brought together in order to attract not just Filipino talent, but global decision makers. And these are some of the brands that are actually with us in our offices. Various brands from various different offices of ours. If most of you hopefully have read the Paperspace study, wherein through the years, since the pandemic, there's actually an increase of people being back in the office. This 14% and 23% seem low, but what it defines is really people who prefer to work full-time, 5 days a week in an office. So if we put those who prefer to work 3 days, 2 days, I'm sure the numbers will be much, much higher. In fact, the Saville study for 2024 Q1 says in Asia Pacific, actually, it's the highest in terms of office occupancy, about 88%. Compared to Europe, I believe it's about 59%. North America is about 53%. LA is the worst at 50%. No, but seriously, it's a different culture altogether here. My cousins from the US went the other week and said, I'm surprised a lot of people are still in the malls here. The malls in the US are like very, very quiet. So it's definitely a different culture, a different ballgame, specifically here in the Philippines. And also in our offices, our occupancy rate is much higher. We're talking about foot traffic here. meaning, since we're open 24/7, some of our clients work in the morning, at night. The most it's been is at 52%. So it's very spacious, and but as you can see here, from 2021 to 2024, it is an increasing trend of people being back in the office. So I guess we're doing something right, and it's also part of the culture altogether. So just key takeaways for me, whenever we designed, we have culture in mind. We also take into heart global standards. And of course, we adapt flexibility, and we know the changing demands of the workforce here in the Philippines. So before I end my talk, I'd like to leave you with a very short video of what it is to be a shared service or a BPO worker here in the Philippines. Just so you know, that's how we design. We empathize, we know how they feel, they think, and they work, and so we design around it. And I think that's the most important part. As a leader, as a designer, or as a person, know how others feel and know how to react properly. Here you go.
Hi, I'm Diane, and we're here at Bonifacio Global City in the Philippines. I work as an accounts payable specialist for a US-based company through KMC. And here's a peek into my night shift work life. Here we are at our office. Now let's officially start our work day. Or should I say, night. KMC is offering some yoga sessions tonight in the office. So I arrived a bit earlier to participate in the session before my shift. I love these little perks that I enjoy working at KMC. The culture of making work plus life better really makes it a workplace like no other. Here, I am not just an employee. I truly feel I'm part of a community. Although our company is located miles away, we remain bound by our shared mission. I never feel like an outsourced resource. Instead, I truly sense my worth as a valuable team member. Our daily interactions with our colleagues in the US solidify our sense of belonging, making us an integral part of the team. All of us here are well taken care of, enjoying other perks such as unlimited coffee all day, every day, and even free ice cream on Fridays. As an accounts payable specialist, I handle the company's bills and make sure they get paid accurately and on time. I also review invoices, track expenses, and communicate with vendors to ensure smooth financial transactions. Working the night shift doesn't mean we can't live a normal life. In the Philippines, many businesses are open for night shift workers, so we can still go out to eat during our breaks, even late at night. This means that having a meal out with the team is definitely something we get to do regularly. It's always a good bonding experience with my team. I love the way my American company does things, and one of the main reasons I took this job is that KMC is one of the best places to work in Asia. They do lots of fun things for employees to show they care about us. They even provided stylish place to live that's just for KMC employees, and it's really close to the office, so I can walk home easily.
So yeah, there you go. Thank you for allowing me to showcase how we design offices to inspire these great Filipino talents. Thank you, Karen, for inviting me, Narita, for having me here today. So that's it.
So my quick question. So thank you.
I have 55 seconds left. See?
There you go. Just enough time for the question.
Yeah.
Okay, so how are flexible workspaces reshaping the concept of work-life balance, particularly in traffic-heavy cities like Metro Manila?
Well, yeah, I mean, based on the video that you just saw, well, in KMC specifically, when we know people are working at night, when we know people are working long hours, we are able to design around those things, making it still interesting for them, a place to go to that doesn't feel like, dragging their feet going to work. But also, aside from work, is how to balance that with life, life demands. Just like what I showed you guys in KMC Casa, we don't want our workers to be traveling 2 hours back and forth at home and office. So we built that one. And as well as we built so much offices that you don't have to do that travel because you can work near home if you don't want to work from home or from our casa.
Thank you very much. Let's say thank you to our last panelist for the evening.
Sure. Thank you.
And we're over time, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask the CEO for Paperspace Asia to step up. So Narita, if you could please come up and say a few words.
Thank you to our esteemed speakers for being with us here today. I know time is very precious with traffic and all. So thank you for being here. It's a real privilege to be back here in Manila. And I think I just wanted to maybe sort of close off by sort of, hope that each one of us has got something from today. Obviously, we're all learning as we go. And I like what you sort of shared earlier. We're trying to figure it out. Lots of problems and trying to figure out as we go. And maybe it's a bit easier if we try to learn from each other a little bit more, which is obviously the intention for these events. So that's just a little bit about sort of thanking everyone for making the time to be here. And again, let's not hold up anyone else from, the lovely platter that the team have sort of put together. So thank you again for the entire team for hosting today. Thank you.
Value creation to clients is the one thing we want to see. We test what's out there, and if it doesn't meet the goal, we chuck it.
In communicating the why of the company, the purpose of the company, it has to align with multiple identities. And those who are most successful are the ones who can speak to many.
No one knows. They're going to Mars. They've never gone there before. So instead of telling them how to get there, give them the right controls so that they always get somewhere in your exploration that's valuable. Don't get rid of the sandbox, manage the sandbox.
If we think about strategy, design solutions, we need to be right in the heart and the pulse of understanding trend. I think what's next for us is to take this sort of knowledge of designing workplaces strategically to all markets and to kind of show the value of what we can do when we start the design process with a strategic approach. If we do the things that we love with the people we trust, I think that's where magic happens.